In 1796, in his 85th year, and after 60 years on the throne of the great Qing Empire, the Qianlong Emperor did something quite unusual. He stepped away from power. He was the third in a succession of three vigorous emperors who brought the Qing Empire to a new geographic extent and a new height of prosperity. And yet, even in his old age, as we see him here, he was still in pretty good health and in control of his faculties. So why did he abdicate? I'm reminded of Lord Byron's famous ode to Napoleon Bonaparte when he contemplates what it took that emperor to step aside. "'Tis done, but yesterday a king, and armed with kings to strive, and now thou art a nameless thing, so abject yet alive. Is this the man of 1,000 thrones who strewed our earth with hostile bones, and can he thus survive? Since he, miscalled the morning star, nor man nor fiend hath fallen so far." It is, as Byron says, an unquestionably enormous change in status, but what is the lesson? Ill-minded man, why scourge thy kind, who bowed so low the knee? By gazing on thyself grow blind, thou taught'st the rest to see. With might unquestioned, power to save, thine only gift hath been the grave to those that worshipped thee. Nor till thy fall could mortals guess ambitions less than littleness. Thanks for that lesson. It will teach to after warriors more than high philosophy can preach, and vainly preached before. That spell upon the minds of men breaks, never to unite again, that led them to adore those pagod things of saber sway, with fronts of brass and feet of clay. The triumph and the vanity, the rapture of the strife, the earthquake voice of victory, to thee the breath of life, the sword, the scepter, and that sway which man seemed made but to obey, wherewith renown was rife, all quelled, dark spirit, what must be the madness of thy memory? Good riddance, basically, to an emperor is what Byron tells us. And in the rest of the poem, which is fun, but I'll spare you, he surveys world history looking for examples of those who willingly left the stage of power, and finds few. He concludes the poem famously by asking, "Where may the wearied eye repose when gazing on the great, where neither guilty glory glows nor despicable state? Yes, one, the first, the last, the best, the Cincinnatus of the West, whom envy dared not hate, bequeathed the name of Washington. To make man blush, there was but one." The British have always been best at making American propaganda, though I don't think I can disagree with his conclusion here. But of course, it was within a year of Washington stepping away that the Qianlong Emperor did the exact same thing, less than 20 years before this poem was written. And so I wish we could know what Byron might have thought about him, though again, I can't fault him for not being au courant on the Chinese affairs of his day. The backstory, really the full story of the Qianlong Emperor's abdication, makes everything a little bit more complicated. He respected, genuinely, I think, idolized his grandfather, the Kangxi Emperor, who he had known personally as a small boy, an emperor who was a key founding figure of the dynasty and had done so much to secure its legacy. Kangxi had also ruled a record-breaking 60 years. And so the Qianlong Emperor's decision was one with his grandfather and filial piety in mind, to allow him to hold that record. But this, I promise you, that the Qianlong Emperor knew he would go down in history for this dramatic and incredibly filial act without its precedent in Chinese history, because he was nothing if not image-conscious and prideful. And to be clear, while he did step aside in favor of his successor, he didn't go away and was very much in charge for the next several years until his own death. In the Qing Empire, at least, there was no Cincinnatus, and still, I fear, that spell upon the minds of men is yet unbroken.